Hi, and welcome back to another edition of Project Stargate. I'm your host, Mark Brenner.
I'm co-host Greg Ship.
And I'm your co-host with the most ghosts, Jake Malcolm.
That's right, brothers. And we're so glad that you're back with us again. And today we're going to talk even further about the Coal Mountain Triangle. We're going to go deeper. This place, ladies and gentlemen, is brimming with high strangeness. I really believe, guys, that we're just barely scratching the surface of this stuff. Greg, you've had so, you were with us on our first podcast that we did several weeks ago. What is your feelings about this theory? How certain are you after looking at the information that we have put back? And by the way, welcome back, man. Glad to have you back. By the way,
Thank you.
But anyway, you've had some time to, we've researched this together once already. We've had a few conversations over the phone about it. How do you feel about it right at this point in time? How do you have any degree of certainty about my theory, or do you think it's hogwash?
I think that your theory might be correct in this type of phenomena.
Why do you think so?
I think the evidence pretty much speaks for itself when discussing the Coal Mountain phenomena.
Yeah, well, you know what, man? If you're referring to the satanic cult that has been confirmed to operate out of in and around Ball Ground, Georgia, in the deep dark woods that are amongst it, or all the UFO sightings and the numerous haunted locations, then I agree with you. Jake, how do you feel about this so far with our research?
It's one of those things where it's an area I lived my entire life. And half of the things we're pulling up were things I would never expect. Given the incidents through personal experience and then also through investigation and information gathering with you guys, I think that we may not have a theory of what's going on, but something is definitely going on there.
I couldn't agree more. Also, I wanted to, on a separate note, guys. Greg is working on he has been working on at his convenience through between doing schoolwork and other things that he's working on right now in his personal life. He's working on some content that he's going to for an upcoming podcast. We've discussed it a little bit in the past. But it's becoming, getting a little closer to fruition?
It's getting close to fruition. I've been doing my own personal research on Mystery Hill for a while, and I feel that as a episode, I'm thinking about trying to bring the folks who run the site on the show and interview them on Mystery Hill and how they came to possessing the property and what their experiences are with that area. And I also thought about getting some investigators who've been to that site and getting their input on what they found.
You know what? I'm excited to hear about. Can we talk a little? Can we talk? Get some? Could you give our listeners a entry level spiel of sorts in our next segment sometime about and just kind of educate us and our listeners about what Mystery Hill is and tell a little bit about it and maybe a couple of popular theories as to what its purpose was. Can we do that?
Absolutely.
Okay. Jake, I look forward to that. That's going to be really and Jake, you're in, like I said earlier, you're in for a treat with this one. You're going to love what he has got to say.
Yeah, I just was doing a little bit of reading about it, and I look forward to hearing what he has to say about it for sure.
Right on, man. Let's move on. Before we get back into we're going to dive deep into the Coal mountain triangle even deeper than we alrealready have, in preparation for our upcoming expedition, possibly in September. We're trying to wait and see if Greg can get down here in September. He may have some time off. He can take off work at that point, and we're going to have a 3-day operation. First day as a planning day, where we're all together planning, and here at our base of operations near at my house, which is about 12 miles or so away from Dawson Forest. The second day is where we'll be doing field research, and that's going to involve hopefully Greg, if he can make it. It's going to involve myself, of course, Jacob, possibly Vince. And I'm going to invite 2 surprise guest researchers. And I don't want to say who they are yet, but it's going to be somebody all of you have heard from, and you guys know from listening to my program. I want to keep that under wraps for the time being, but I have some very cool stuff to announce in regards to this expedition coming soon. Real excited for guys. And then the third day is going to be the day that we're going to have we're going to be reviewing all the video footage, because we're going to be filming all the time. We're going to be filming. And then we're going to put something together akin to a documentary or a docu-series. So we're real excited about bringing this content to you later towards the last quarter of this year. I'm planning to release it at some point, or fourth quarter of next year. The time frame's kind of sketchy, trying to get the time frame down, but we're going to see. It's going to depend on how much we're able to polish this evidence and footage, and what we want to produce and publish with it. So I'm excited, guys. I hope you can make it, Greg.
Definitely, absolutely.
Awesome. Any current events in the paranormal world, UFO paranormal world, that you guys have run across lately?
Nothing in my my area.
Jake, what about you?
Nothing new, so to say. Or in my area. A little while ago, a couple years, I forget the pictures were time stamped. A friend reached out to me with these photographs just the other day after seeing our podcast of what looks to be some sort of unknown figure disappearing into the ground, and we can
Wow.
talk about that later.
Sure.
But yeah, that's the most recent that I've heard of, and I've been talking with them and kind of digging into and investigating.
Well, that is some cool news. So I can't wait to hear about that later. Let's jump into that sometime in our next segment as well.
Sure.
We're gonna have an action, dude. We already got our second segment filled up, man. This is awesome. I live for this stuff, brother. I love researching with you guys. This is awesome. Well, Jake, let's go back. I think it's time to go back into the Coal Mountain Triangle.
Sure.
What do you got for us this evening?
So just outside Cumming, there's what appears to be a gravity hill, one of those hills. It's an optical illusion.
Do you mind if I illustrate where Cumming is real quick on Google Maps for our listeners?
Absolutely.
Viewers?
Absolutely.
Okay. If you'll just give me one moment
Sure.
before you proceed. Let's go to, I'll look at this, man. Whenever you Google the Coal Mountain Triangle, we're the first several things that pop up. That is so cool. So I'm hoping that people are going to be really curious about it, because it's something that needs to be looked at deeper. But let's see, Cumming, Georgia. I keep getting off the beaten path here. That's what happens when I get excited. Sorry. I get it. When you get old like me, the big 42, yeah, you get excited over the most minuscule stuff, bro. For real.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. All right, maps. All right, Cumming, Georgia is located in Forsyth County, just for the listeners. And it's nestled right here next to Lake Sidney Lanier, which I live somewhere close to here, very close to here. But this is Lake Lanier right here. This is the lake. The Lake Lanier is huge. It is absolutely huge. It goes through several counties. It goes all the way up here. I mean, it's a huge lake. but this is Cumming, Georgia, and the place he's talking about is somewhere in this north area. So without, I apologize for the interruption, Jake. I just wanted to illustrate this really quick, and I'm going to hand it back to you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the illustration. So Booger Hill, as we're talking about, is a road that actually leads into the town of Cumming. Very old road. It's been there for a long time. On one side there are pastures, on other side wooded with houses and whatnot. So on inspection, you would get to Booger Hill, you would assume it's like a gravity hill. Gravity Hill is somewhere where you would park and it looks like you're rolling backwards uphill, even though you're in fact going downhill. It's an optical illusion. Being the teenagers that we were on Halloween, we decided to go park at the bottom of Booger Hill. And while we're in there, we went into the story about it. The story is at the top of the hill, two African-American gentlemen were for a crime they did not commit. And at the two hanging trees at the top of the hill. Now, those trees were not terrible. Now, the other unfortunate thing was that was not the only hanging in those trees. That was basically where in the town they would execute, those that they deemed worthy of the death penalty, right or not. So anyway, they.
What time frame? What era? What years? Do you know anything about the time, the actual time that this took place? Do you know, Greg?
No, that's to my knowledge. I don't know that part of Georgia very well, unfortunately.
So I believe it was sometime in the 1800s. Now I could get that wrong, but that's what I believe. I can look it up, I'm sure. What I believe it was. Please. So you have these hanging trees. Let's see.
I'm gonna see if I can find a picture of it while you're doing that.
Sure. There's unfortunately not much to look at.
Let's see. This is really creepy stuff, man.
It is. So, I can't seem to find a date of when this supposedly happened.
I found something.
Did you?
Yes, I'm going to pull it up right now.
Mark wins the gold medal for better researcher tonight.
Oh man, I'm nothing. Brother, you're the top dog here as far as I'm concerned. You and Greg. All right, here we go, man.
All right,
I found this. I'm going to screen share real quick for our viewers on YouTube. All right, here we go. Booger Hill. Here we go.
There it is.
This is Booger. I've driven down here going towards Sawney. It's real close to Sawney Mountain Park.
It's actually just at the base.
Yeah, it's right before you get to one of the parking lots at Sawney Mountain Preserve. Wonderful hiking trail system. There's a really mysterious gold mine. There's several entrances to it there, and then there's the beautiful trail that goes up to the top of the Sawney Mountain at the Indian Seats. But anyway, this is Booger Hill, close to that, and right here is this area. It's supposed to be one of these trees, I do believe.
So it would actually, I believe, be further back behind the because it's two trees on either side of the road, or it could be further down.
So it's actually right in here somewhere.
I can't tell which direction he's facing. That looks like an older picture. It looks much more overgrown now.
This is Sawney Mountain, right? This is the actual Booger Hill right here. This right here.
That's it. So that's where town of Forsyth County, black, white, or other, if you were sentenced to death, they hung you there and they buried you in a unmarked grave in a cemetery. Fast forward, obviously a lot of tragedy in that area, a lot of bad energy. Here we are,
To say the least.
Here we are, 17 years old, parked at the bottom of this hill, telling each other this ghost story. One of our friends gets out and, puts flour all over the hood to see if there are handprints. That's part of the story, is that you get pushed up and there are handprints left on the car. We get in, pop it in the neutral. Sure enough, we start rolling back.
Wow.
We freak out a little bit. Again, we're thinking it's.
Are you
just a
sure it
gravity
wasn't
hill.
an optical illusion, or did you hear the tires grinding the asphalt?
So we heard the tires in the asphalt because, again, we were in neutral. The car was off. But the other thing was, which was crazy, we thought it was an optical illusion. We got out of the truck. We stopped it before we got to the trees. Got out of the truck, looked at the hood, and I'll send you the picture. We can bring it up in our next segment. There was handprint. Yeah, there was a handprint in the flour on the hood, a perfect handprint.
Dude, that's creepy, man. Greg, I'm gonna have nightmares, bro. Seriously.
Now, so we decided to do it again. We didn't have any more flour, but we decided to do it again another night, a separate night. We parked at the bottom. All the windows rolled down, everything. Again, we're stupid. I don't recommend doing this. This is a busy road. All the windows rolled down, passenger doors open so everyone can kind of hear and see what's going on. No flour this time because we all saw it the first time. Start to, pop it in neutral. And before we even start to move, before he takes his foot off the brake, we hear a voice, all of us, a disembodied voice coming from this field over to our left, say, "Help me," real fast.
Oh my Lord. No way, man.
We shone lights over there and we didn't see anything. And my sister, God bless her, was with us this time. And she just starts shouting, go, leave, just leave them.
Oh my Lord, man.
We took off, but we did, circle around and come back and look, and there was nothing, no one, but we all heard it. It sounded like he was in the truck with us.
That's emotional.
Yeah, it is.
That would touch me. Not only would it be creepy as it could possibly be, when a lot of veterans, I'm a veteran, but a lot of veterans, they're traumatized by stuff that they see.
Right.
That would be very traumatic.
I'll avoid driving down Tribble Gap Road at night for sure. Just for the feeling I get going down.
Would you do it with me?
I might do it with you. We'll bring the holy water.
Could bring the holy water. Let's bring some gear. Let's just
do it.
Just me and you. Or maybe if you have a friend or two that wants to come, that'd be great too.
I'll bring someone that was with us that night. The story.
I would like to. And can we film it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Greg,
no problem.
What do you think of that?
That'd be cool. Yeah, I'd like that.
So, after we're done with this recording this podcast, let's plan. Let's set a date for the next 1 week or two and do it.
Sure. Now because it is a busy road, we might want to reach out and see if we can't get permission from someone just to make sure we're not getting any tickets that night.
Okay. Could you handle that?
I can reach out. Yeah, I'll reach out to see if I can get permission from the county.
Thank you, sir. Let's discuss this later. Off air.
Absolutely.
Anyway, continue, please.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a short story, but that's pretty much the story. The handprint being the piece of solid evidence I have. Unfortunately, I did not have any recording gear. I hadn't got into recording or anything like that at that point in time. So, but we did have cameras, and that disembodied voice really was creepy. So,
man,
and we all heard it, and there was 5 of us at the time.
That'd be a good time for me to learn how to use this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Definitely, man. That's awesome, man. I can't wait. You got me so intrigued. What's the most intriguing thing is all these haunted locations. I mean, it's like there's so many places. It's like this whole triangle area. It seems like it's haunted.
Yeah.
Like extremely haunted. And,
Well,
and it's taken me years to realize this.
well, and it is an older, part of the state, being established in the 1700s and everything. So there's been time for stuff to build up over itself. Modern tragedies, the things going on with the nuclear facility all the way back to the 1700s and what was going on, around here then. So definitely, I think wherever there's a lot of history, there's a lot of activity. And just for an example, a bit of a distance out of our triangle, but Savannah, Georgia being a prime example.
Yes. Another place in Georgia, just as a quick side note, I think it'd be really cool for all of us to go investigate one day, is Milledgeville.
So I've been to Milledgeville. I have gotten evidence there, but I would not advise it. One, now it is locked up tight. There's police everywhere, and two, the building is fairly decrepit. The buildings in the campus and falling apart. So for safety reasons, I would. The grounds around it, absolutely. The actual building, I think, might be a bit dangerous.
Yeah.
Wow. Greg, I got a question for you. I want to cut off to Greg for a second, if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Greg, me and you have been friends for a long time since we worked together back in, what was it, 2016, 2017, rather?
2016, I believe.
Yeah, that's when we started working together. We've become just the best of friends, and I've really been thankful to have you as my brother. But since then, you moved back to New Hampshire, where your family is, and rightfully so. As much as I miss having you around here, I'm glad. I think you did the right thing, and your family needs you, man.
Yep.
That's number one. But at any rate, why you lived in this area, this general area? Did you catch wind of a lot of the legends of this area of what we now call the Coal Mountain Triangle? Did you ever hear about any of these legends in any way?
I did not. Most of what I heard when I was living in Georgia was always like around in like the Roswell area. I had a lot of people that I went to school with who were from the Roswell area. And they always talk about, because it's a Civil War town, and there's always talks about like ghosts all the time. A lot of things that go on, but never about the Coal Mountain Triangle.
I think closer to where, if I remember, my memory serves me correctly, you lived in the Alpharetta area. With you and your mom and your dad, and at one time your brother, I think, was living there at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Because I remember helping you move when you moved to Atlanta. But anyway, close to you, there was that school that used to be an insane asylum, I think, previous to that, and it was the Hopewell School, as they called it. It was on Hopewell Road.
Hopewell School.
Yeah, did you ever hear about that place?
No, I never heard about that one.
So I've heard a lot about it. Jake, have you heard of the Hopewell School?
Excuse me. I'm looking it up right now. I do remember reading about it in the past, but I thought it was demolished.
It was, but I'm gonna try to pull a picture of this place. This place was extra creepy, and I want to tell a little bit about it as well. Hang on just a minute.
Yeah.
All right, let me see if I can find it. All right. There used to be pictures galore about this place.
Well, now it looks like there is actually a Hopewell School.
All right.
Was it the St. Michael's Orphan Asylum?
St. Michael's Orphan Asylum.
Yeah.
I'll check and I'll tell you.
And industrial school building.
St. Michael's.
Wow, just saying that sounds dark.
St. Mike, what was it called?
St. Michael's Orphan Asylum and Industrial School.
Industrial school doesn't sound good.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Oh wow.
It sounds like one of those schools they put troubled juveniles to like become model citizens.
You know, we were just watching a documentary today about that stuff, Greg. That's crazy you brought that up. It was horrifying what they did to these kids.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it. It got demolished a few years ago.
Right.
Years ago, it got demolished. But there was quite a history of that place. There was I remember I had a friend of mine. I haven't spoken to him in some time, but he used to be a paranormal investigator, and they investigated this place. They got permission to do it, and they went inside, and he said that in the middle of the building there was a spiral staircase that led to nothing, like literally. Like you would be going up this spiral staircase in the middle of it, and then you'd hit, and there'd be a brick wall, like it was bricked off. Mm-hmm. It used to be an insane asylum at one point, and then it was a school. It might have been both, like you guys were suggesting. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I know it was both of those itinerations at one point or another. But that was close to where you live, Greg. I was just curious if you'd ever heard of that.
Yeah, I've lived there most of my life. I never heard of it. That's the first time. I'm sorry to say.
Well, you know, there's not many people talk about it anymore. I haven't heard anybody mention the Hopewell School. It used to be the talk of the town back, 15 years ago, but not anymore.
Right.
Jake, back to you, sir.
Yes, sir.
What else you got for us today?
So
you got any
aside
snippets
from
of anything you're working on, snippets of anything?
Snippets of anything I'm working on. Aside from talking to my friend there in Ohio, who has had some trail cam photographs of some rather strange incidents. Not very much. I am doing some research into the correlation between shadow people and UFOs due to a case that we were speaking about beforehand. I've reached out to a prominent member of the research field to pick their brain a little bit about it as well. So that's mainly what I've been up to.
The trail cam evidence you were talking about, do you have that?
I do, but unfortunately, I do have trouble screen sharing. Still haven't fixed that one, but I knew you were going to ask that question, so I already sent them to your Facebook. Okay,
so I got an idea. Why don't we do three segments tonight? Three shorter segments instead of two regular segments. Let's go ahead and take a short break, and when we come back, let's take a look at some of this evidence and that other stuff you were telling about earlier, and let's talk more about the shadow people stuff if you want to.
Sure.
All right. You're listening to Project Stargate Friends Research here with myself, Mark Brenner, and Jake Malcolm and Greg Ship. And we are talking about the Coal Mountain Triangle and the shadow people. And we will be right back with some evidence for the cases we've been discussing. We'll be right back. All right, and welcome back to Project Stargate Friends Research. I'm here with my co-hosts Jake Malcolm and Greg Ship. Welcome back, gentlemen.
Glad to be back.
We before we went to break, we were talking about Booger Hill and some other things, but Jake has some photographic evidence that we're going to share for our viewers on the YouTube channel. And for those of you listening on Spotify, Amazon, and other platforms, we're going to do our best to describe them. And I'm going to hand this back. I'm going to do my screen share here, and I'm going to hand this back over to Jake here in just a second. But at any rate, man alive, this has been some really, really good stuff, man. I was looking at
Mark.
Yeah. Watch who?
I said, watch it, Mark.
I'm watching it. What am I watching for, anyways? I forgot. Poor Greg.
Anyway, the pictures.
Yeah, the pictures. All right, sorry. I got off the beaten path there a little bit.
You're good.
Actually, it's your fault. Oh my gosh. All right. Let's get this out of the way. Let's settle this like gentlemen. While we were on break, we were talking about the Elder Scrolls. I'm heartbroken. I gotta take my glasses off, man. I'm getting emotional here. Oh my goodness.
Man.
Greg, would you sound off and tell our listeners what Jacob said about Elder Scrolls?
He wasn't a big fan.
Jake, would you verify that to be correct or not correct?
I'd like to correct Greg on that one and say I've actually never played an Elder Scrolls.
Ooh, he's
game.
correcting you, Gregory.
Okay.
He's correcting you, Gregory.
No, I am a Far Cry junkie. That's where I spend Far Cry and War is where I spend most of my time when I'm on PlayStation.
Yeah, man, Far Cry is good. It's a good series. I like the one. I think it was 5. I played several of them I really enjoyed, but 5 with that cult member, that cult guy. That dude was insane.
It was great. It was great. It kind of fits us.
Yeah.
Oh,
No
yeah.
kidding, man.
Oh,
That was a good game, man. But I'm sorry, Jake. You're off the team. I'm just kidding.
I'll go start my own podcast.
What, the Weenie Patrol? What is it going to be, the Weenie Patrol?
I don't know what to say to that one. I wish I would have thought of a name first.
We'll learn it. Let that be a lesson. All right,
it's a chess game, not checkers.
Man, I could go on and on at video games. Halo Infinite Season 2 just dropped, and I played that new right before we started researching. I played a little bit of this new mode called Last Spartan Standing. It was actually fun. It's like a mini battle royale. That's all. It's like a mini battle royale with like 24 people. But I think they actually might be putting out a full-fledged battle royale. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe a 50 player. Something kind of like Fallout 76's Nuclear Winter battle royale. Something kind of like that, where you have like 50 people or 60 people on a server or whatever. I thought that was fun. Anyway, all right. Pop culture BS aside, moving forward. Jake, I'm gonna do my screen share. We're going to start with some of these pictures, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand the floor to you, and if you will, describe what we're looking at, and what the conditions were when you took these pictures, if you will, please.
Sure, absolutely.
All right. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give the floor to Jake Malcolm, and Greg and I will, and afterwards we're going to have some Q&A, if you don't mind. Me and Greg we'll do some Q&A. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
All right, here we go. Without further ado, here's Jake Malcolm's photographic evidence he wants to present today. And you just let me know, Jake, when to move to the next photograph.
So this is from my friends, the Phillips, up in Ohio. She reached out to me about some trail camera photographs. These I found to be the most interesting. If we look, it doesn't really look like much in this picture, but if we look here down, first of all, it's a black and white cornfield, something you'd see out of a scary movie.
And where's this at? I'm sorry.
This is somewhere up in Ohio.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Yes, you got it. So there is what appears to be a shadowy, odd-looking figure, almost looking like it's sitting in the fetal position, in the middle of the screen.
I see it.
Yeah, it's very odd. So if we go to the next photograph, I've zoomed in and highlighted it. For those listening in, for those who maybe are having a little trouble seeing what this form looks like, it almost looks like someone sitting, one leg tucked under the other, their knee up, both their arms crossed on their knee, and then their head down, kind of like that.
That's what I'm saying. Greg, what do you see?
The same thing.
Okay.
All right. So if we go to the next picture, now it looks like this figure is lying down away from us, with its knees pulled up to itself. You can.
I'm kind of seeing
see
something kind of different. Maybe this is a relativity thing, but can I describe what I'm seeing?
Yeah, sure.
So, all right, I'm looking at here. I'm using my cursor here. This looks like a head right here. It looks like Yoshi, of all things. It looks like Yoshi. Look at the eyes, the big nose.
So that's definitely where I see the head.
And then I see what looks like arms coming out like this, like almost like they're praying like this. And then they're squatting down, and it looks like there's a turtle shell right here. Am I?
Oh, so
wow.
I can kind of see that almost like someone's kneeling and praying. The way I see it is that's the head, where you describe the head, but laying sideways on the ground.
Okay.
You follow it back to the left, and then that's its back going down into its legs, which are kind of have the knees pulled up.
Wow, this is an optical illusion.
It is. It's an odd looking photograph, but what we can determine is it is in a different position, and then there's the next photograph.
Okay.
And there's nothing there in this photograph. These photographs were taken.
It's a lovely picture, though.
It is. It's a beautiful picture. These photographs were taken in seconds.
Okay.
So just a matter of seconds. You can see the timestamp down there, actually. So 7:52. They were all taken at 7:52 before it turned to another minute.
Wow. I think that's it on these. I think that's all.
Yeah.
Greg, what's your take on that mass that was coming out of the ground? What's your take on? Describe it. What you were looking at. And I'll go back. Let me go back to the photograph for you. Here we go. Here we go. Let's use this one. Tell me what you're saying.
Well, to me, it looks like there's someone who's curled up with their legs up and their heads in their arms. The second one, they look like they're laying down on their side, and then they just sort of they look like very, very flat, not like any normal person when they lie on their side. To them, it looks like it looks like a flat figure. So to me, it looks like they're going down into the ground. Sort of like a spirit slowly evaporating. That's how I see it.
I can't get over this. This is kind of similar to me. This is almost as bizarre as that Pamela Nance's stuff. You remember that? You remember those entities they caught on video?
Oh yeah.
At the tree. Jake, you saw it.
I did.
You remember now?
I remember. You bring up a lot of these cases. I remember them, but I don't remember them by name.
Okay, right on, man.
Yeah.
So, anyways, this is really bizarre.
Absolutely.
And what did the person who submitted this evidence, the witness, what did they say? What did they think was going on?
So I actually was speaking a little bit with her today, actually interviewing her to see if she wanted to come on the podcast. She said she would like to sometime. What she said is there's a lot of weird things that go on in their house and on their property. She did send me some more photographs that I'm still kind of analyzing before I bring them on. But she said, among other things, when you're walking through the woods, you can see shadows in parts of the woods, shadow silhouettes kind of following you out in the woods.
Wow.
Old land, old farmland that was Indian land at one point, as she put it. So I don't know the tribe, but yes, old land with something weird going on that triggers trail cams to take these bursts.
Because those are some good. Those were some pretty good pictures.
They're very interesting.
I'd like to get. It'd be nice if I could get a hold of somebody who could, like a professional, who can look at pictures like an optical expert or some sort. You know.
Sure.
That'd be pretty interesting. I'm going to hold on to this and see if I can find something along those lines. Now let's go to the next case we discussed. The other case, sure. Booger Hill. We got something for that too. That's not it. Let's see. Hang on. Here we go.
There we go.
Here's this. Now, kind of for the listeners, tell us what happened before and during this, what we're seeing here, and describe it in detail.
Sure. So I believe it's Halloween or sometime in October, which down in Georgia, it can be fairly warm and still. It was warm out. Still no wind, which is why we decided to do it then. We came out, parked at the bottom of the hill. Pardon my microphone. Parked at the bottom of the hill. Our friend got out, spread some flour all over the hood of the truck, spread it out flat. We all saw it. There were no handprints, anything like that. Basically just a big hunk that looked like this. Got in the car, started rolling backwards. Oh, optical illusion. Pull down to the bottom, pull off into Sonny Mountain Nature Park, hop out of the car, look at the hood. This handprint's there.
Wow. So this is okay. So just so I understand.
Yeah.
This right here. Okay. The car goes up the hill.
Yep.
It's in neutral,
car goes up the hill.
And it goes up that hill, up Booger Mountain Hill by itself.
Yep.
Something is. Did it feel like could you feel like there was some sort of external force pushing it? Or was it something that, or was it a real light feel, a gentle light feeling of it going up? How would you describe it?
I recall it being pretty light. However, at the time, we weren't looking at this from an investigative standpoint. We were just, doing it for fun to see if it worked. So I wasn't really paying much attention to that until, of course, the handprint. So, just felt normal, like if you were to leave your car in neutral and it started rolling backwards. The incline is not that steep, but it is there. Wow.
So, Greg, if you will, I want to get your input on this. Mm-hmm. This is a very unusual looking handprint. It definitely looks like a handprint. Tell me what you see. Tell me what you see right here. Describe it for our listeners, please.
I definitely see what looks like the fingers and the palms that's imprinted in the flower. And to me, that seems, it's really creepy, but I could definitely see what looks like handprints there.
Well, it looks like it's a very wide handprint, like much wider than normal.
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. Well, Jake, what do you? I mean, look how wide it looks. Like if it's a hand, it almost doesn't look like a human handprint. It looks too big to be too wide to be a human handprint.
That was actually the first thing that we talked about when it happened. But what we came to the conclusion to, and why you can see some of the powder up on the side, kind of move around, was that if you're pushing on a hood with flour on it, your hand's going to slide a little bit.
Yeah.
Right. So it does look to be a little bit slid out. You can see actually in the streaks of the flour down there where it looks like it wasn't just patted down, but it looks like it was more or less pushed out of the way by the palm, almost pushing.
Like this, like going this way, going this way. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So, so what's pretty funny is, when you push, you're not pushing with your pinky. The pinky indentation is definitely not as much as it would be.
Dude, you should teach preschool, man.
I don't think that'd be a good influence. Anyway, in the middle of this pile of Colombian Bam Bam, where we've got our hand, we made, again, all of us were in the car. The one friend got out, poured the flour, made them get out. Come put your hand on the hood. We knew this. Completely the wrong hand, not it. Made them do it again on another part of the flour, and handprints did not match. And mind you, we all watched as they did this.
Wow. That's unreal, man. So yeah. I'm going to stop screen share for now. Jake, I think we, like I said earlier in our last segment, I think what we ought to do, maybe 2 weeks out or so, 2 or 3 weeks out, maybe. Why don't we go out there? Maybe you can bring your friend you were telling about earlier. Let's go out there and can we recreate this investigation? Would you be comfortable doing that? Would you be okay doing that?
Absolutely. I could even
because I know it was I know it scared you.
Oh no, it's just more. You get an uneasy feeling going down it at night. So I just avoid it for the voice of it. I don't want anything to freak me out as I'm driving.
Maybe you should sing like a virgin. Maybe you should go there and sing like a virgin. Maybe that would be nice to you.
I'd prefer Jesus take the wheel.
I hear you, man.
But
amen to that.
No, that was a bit exaggerated. Not driving down there at night. I will, but you definitely get an uneasy feeling. But absolutely, I'm down. I've done it since then. Not in recent times, so to say, but more after that in high school.
Let's do a little initial planning here.
Sure.
So what do you recommend as far as equipment that we should definitely have with us, and what methodology do you recommend that we should use when we go there to investigate? Tell me what all you think we should do.
Well, the first thing we should definitely do is, like I said, contact whoever we need to contact to make sure it's safe for us to do that at a certain time. Grant us permission, but we should definitely check before we get rolled up on, so to say. Second thing we could do if we actually get to the investigation, I would recommend one of those yardstick rulers, or levels, I should say. We go out there and see if it is an optical illusion. If it is, I think we've got our answer there, and I have found another explanation for the handprint. Or, regardless of it's up or down, if it's up or down, we get in the car, put some flour on the hood, and try to recreate the handprint. I will say that was the only time we were able to get a handprint doing this. And as for equipment, definitely audio recorders, EMF detector. I don't think we would need anything visually aside from just our normal cameras to document. So that's what I would say.
As long as it gets documented, I don't care. I've got a camera that has night vision on it. It's not a real high-end camera, but the night vision works pretty decent, and we can definitely use it to document. It'd be perfect for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I'll make sure we bring that. What about EVP sessions? Do you want to? Can we do some training on the spirit box? Because I really need training on that. Okay.
Absolutely.
I think that might be a wonderful opportunity for you to train me.
Sure.
Greg, any suggestions from you?
From Greg, I'm sorry, you cut out there.
No, go ahead.
No. Mark cut out. I didn't hear what he said.
I was asking Greg. I was if he had any suggestions for our investigation. I just want to hear his thoughts.
Excuse me. I would definitely bring some small recording device to get any EVPs. I would definitely try to film the hood of the car where the flower's on, just so we can actually see it actually forming, just to rule out a form of anyone accidentally probably sliding their hands on there or intentionally putting their hands on there.
Right, right.
Just to be on the safe side, just to prove, hey, we're not messing around.
Absolutely.
Right.
Throw a GoPro up there.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your input. Also, here's what I think we should do. If it's possible, we should research and see if we can get a good idea of what tree or close to what tree it was that these poor souls were tortured and killed on and murdered on. It is what it is. That'd be really good. I would be interested in seeing if that tree is still standing. I'm sure it is. I'd be very interested in seeing if that tree is still standing. If we can do, maybe we can find out the area, at least get close to it and do some EVP sessions in that area after we do the other stuff that we talked about.
Sure, absolutely.
That might be. I think that would be. I don't know if it's been done before, but I'm sure it has. I'm sure someone's gone out there and did some EVP sweeps. I think we ought to bring out, definitely bust out some EMF detection and EVP, a spirit box.
Absolutely. I'll see who I can get in contact with. Like I said, it is a busy road, so it is fairly dangerous to do without supervision. So I'll see who I can get in contact with. I know for a period of time, there were times where they would shut it down for Halloween or other events for that to happen. So I'll see who I can get in contact with.
Okay, cool.
As well as read into the story a little bit more as well.
Right on. That sounds awesome. So let's just go ahead. Like, sometime do your whatever you look into, do whatever research you need to do, and let's try if we can. I'd like to do it about 2 or 3 weeks out from now.
Sure.
That'd be great if we can. Maybe me and you. I might even, if it's okay, I might even bring my daughter. She's always wanted to go there. She's heard all about
Absolutely.
Booger Hill. She's almost 16. She's very mature young lady, and she has a passive interest in paranormal investigating. So I thought it'd be something, we could bring her out, and she's she'll listen, she'll follow directions. I have all the confidence in the world in Morgan. She's a great kid. I think she might be an asset. So I definitely want to bring Morgan if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Greg, Morgan.
Yeah.
I think she'd be great, wouldn't she?
Definitely.
Yeah, I think so too. But anyway, that sounds awesome. Now, let's look at. I want to ask you about another location. We've talked a little bit about this place. That's not too far from there, and also in the city of Cumming. It's like there's 2 other places that I've heard have some paranormal phenomenon that's known for. One of them I think is the Playhouse, and the other one is the that restaurant close to the Playhouse. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
Yes, the Cumming Playhouse and the Foster House, which I believe is operating under a different name lately. I'm not sure if it was bought out or what's going on. I drove by there today, noticed the sign was changed. But yes, long story short, yes, I have heard of them.
Greg, what about you?
The Foster House I may have heard of. The Playhouse, no, I have not.
Well, what do you know about those places, Jake? Can you fill us in?
Yeah. So back around the same time, back in high school, like I said, I did a lot of this kind of stuff just, for fun. Well, I should preface this by saying, growing up, going through town, my dad would always point out the Foster house. Oh, that's the most haunted. That's the most haunted house in Forsyth County. That's the most haunted house in Forsyth County. So I always had a little bit of an interest. Fast forward, we decided just to stop in one day and ask them, "Is this place haunted?" They actually, to our surprise, were very open to talking about it. They said the spirit's name is Mr. Foster, one of the original tenants of the house. They didn't really say anything malevolent was going on. Just, seeing shadows, figures, mist, feeling cold spots, just your classic.
Poltergeist activity too. I heard.
Yeah. Poltergeist activity, but nothing malicious. They all, it's funny. They all spoke very highly of the spirit, of how polite and never knocked. Might have moved things, but never broke anything, knocked anything over like that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, sounds like a trickster-like element here at play.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah. But very active, a very active place. But no one seemed to be upset about it, sharing their home.
I think we should put that place on our radar. What do y'all think?
Yeah. Definitely look into that.
I think that might be one of the easiest places for us to get into because they are so open about it.
Yeah. Now, let's look into that. Let's look into that. The playhouse.
Yep. So same story. Went up, knocked on the door, heard the place is haunted. Gentleman said, "Well, this is the Historical Society and Playhouse. Of course, it's going to be haunted." So he was very open to talking about it, as long as we didn't mention his name in anything. He told us several stories. One of them being he was the only one there. He went in to use the restroom in the bathroom stall. This was at night. Everyone was gone. While he was in there, the door opened. He saw shoes walk past him in the stall.
Really?
He got up when he was done, went out, and no one was there. He didn't see anything. No one walked in. That was one incident. The other incident was He was there late at night. Heard something rattling and looked down the hall, and one of those radiators that is, freestanding but in wall, old heater radiators was shaking violently back and forth. And he went there and he couldn't find the source of it. Downstairs in the restaurant below, we spoke with them. Again, this was a long time ago. I believe it's under new management now. Spoke with them. The manager at the time stated to us that there was activity. Several of the waitresses would not be down there at night. Cutlery in the kitchen flying off tables and flying off countertops. Not like at anyone, not anything violently, but just kind of getting off. So that was the main thing. Sometimes going up the stairs, there was one waitress that reported someone, like, they were running up the stairs really fast behind her, and she turned around and there was no one there.
Wow, that's creepy.
Yeah, so that's kind of what's going on there. It was a school before it was the Playhouse. Don't know if there's anything related there. Maybe it's, mischievous students. Who knows? As far as I know, there were no tragedies or anything there, though. So
just it sounds like ghosts to me.
Yeah, just residual energy.
Yeah, and nothing diabolical. It doesn't even sound anything like that. I think we should have both these places on our radar. I think we should consider maybe doing an investigation of our own and documenting it, maybe, and putting together, adding to the series of the Coal Mountain Triangle. We should do like a whole series of different aspects of the Coal Mountain Triangle. We'll cover, in one episode of this special limited series, it'll be like this location and this location, and then we'll go to the next episode. We'll move to other areas and then talk about all these different aspects of what's going on in that area, and maybe interview some eyewitnesses while we're at it, and we can include those places we just talked about in this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and also, and while we're interviewing any prospective witnesses, I want to question that I want to ask them is, here's my theory of the Coal Mountain Triangle. Here's why I coined that term. What do you think about that? It'd be so fascinating to get their response as to how they feel about it, because I'd be willing to bet that some of these people will be like, yeah, I bet you I felt like something like this was going on for years. I bet you anything we're going to get some feedback on that.
Yeah, I bet we will. I think we've run into a lot of people that have had a lot of experiences as well in that area. Just given the people that I've known, my experiences, I think we're in for a treat specifically in that area when it comes to interviewing people.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's go ahead and let's go to our break, and when we come back, Greg, I'm going to give the platform to you, and we'll let you tell us all about the Mystery Hill or America's Stonehenge up in New Hampshire. We're going to talk about that. Let you talk about that, and anything else you feel that you'd like to talk about, and any research you've done when we come back. You're listening to Project Stargate Friends Research. I'm your host, Mark Brenner, and I'm here with Greg Schiff and Jake Malcolm. We'll be right back. All right, and we're back. Welcome back to Project Stargate Friends Research. I'm your host, Mark Brenner, and I have today with me Greg Schiff and Jake Malcolm. We are back. Before the break, fellas, we were going over all that evidence, man, and I'm excited about our plans about going out very soon to these locations and checking this stuff out and seeing what we can uncover and hopefully have some things to share with our listeners and viewers. It's gonna be great, man.
Definitely.
So, Greg, without further ado, you have been doing a fair amount of research on some things, and you have some things to share with us and our listeners. I'm going to hand the floor to you and take it away.
Okay. Well, I'll start off by saying that you and I have been talking about Mystery Hill for quite some time, way before I even moved to New Hampshire. This was something that sparked your interest, and I remember you telling me when I moved up to New Hampshire, first thing to do is go to Mystery Hill and take a selfie yourself there, and I have quite a few photos during my my tour, and I'm planning on putting
them
those.
Up? Can you email them to me so I can pull them up?
I have to find my the memory card that was on my that was in my camera. I'll just find those and I'll email those to you sometime this week, and I'll post them on the podcast page.
Yeah, put them on our Facebook page. Yeah,
definitely. So I went there in autumn of 2019, and it was around that time we actually had the autumn equinox. So they were like, "Oh, come by and you can watch the autumn equinox." And so I like to start off by saying what my thoughts are about Mystery Hill. It's these type of stone structures are not new. They're not uncommon, I'd say, because you can see them pretty much all over the world. The ones that I am familiar with are the Stonehenge in England and Newgrange in Ireland, or Brú-na-Bóinne, as it's pronounced in Irish, I believe. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. And it's very simplistic in its structure and its layout, and you can kind of get an idea of what was there and what the purpose of it was. With Mystery Hill in New Hampshire, it's very weird. The way
Yeah,
it's
it
put
is.
out. There are parts of it that I can understand why it was there. It was to help with tracking the movement of the stars, the seasons. But when you get to the middle of it, it's really strange. It's just like when I came there, and I'm sure for those people who lived in the area, they would have been like, "What's all this?"
I'm gonna pull some pictures up while you're talking. Okay.
Sure. So I know it sounds horrible, but I think I mentioned this to you a few days ago. It kind of looks like an unfinished town that some child made on Minecraft.
It
Uh,
does. It
it,
really does.
or a little bit like by one of the homes from the Flintstone show. It was just very strange. I think that's kind of why they kind of call it Slab City.
It's kind of like Flintstones meets Beverly Hillbillies a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay,
You know, up there in the mountains.
I'm gonna screen share. I'm gonna share this website. Let's see here. Let's see. Can y'all see?
Let me see.
Here we go.
Negative.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, you
There
can
we
see
go.
it.
Yeah.
Okay,
There we
all right. So what I'll do, Greg, before we go any further, I like to illustrate what this place looks like and what we're looking at, and then would you, after that, since that way we can get an idea of what you're talking about. I think it'd be easier for me and some of our listeners. Maybe could you give us? Can we go through these pictures here and can you illustrate, kind of tell us what we're looking at, and then at that point and then finish what you were what you were saying about it.
Okay. And I will say though that right now I don't have all my notes with me, so when you show me a picture, I'll be trying to look it up on one of the sites for it, and they'll describe in detail what that image would be.
Okay, so we're at just for the listeners, to give credit to this website, it's www.ancient/origins.net, and we're talking about Mystery Hill in New Hampshire. Go ahead, Greg.
So there are different theories about the origin of Mystery Hill, and one of them being that they were built by Irish Kudley monks in the year 1000 AD. That unfortunately is not uncommon. There were settlers that came to North America, mostly the Scandinavian Vikings, around the Dark Ages in Greenland, eventually also settled in Newfoundland for a short period of time. But that's been discredited. Archaeologists believe that it might have been either put up by the Native Americans in that area, and others lean heavily towards an individual who lived on that property, Jonathan Patney, in the mid 1800s. Jonathan Patney was a shoemaker, and he was also an engineer. He was a conductor, for the Underground Railroad during that time. There is evidence of runaway slaves hiding on that property during that time. They actually found shackles that were broken and were found in that property. But the carbon dating that was conducted around that area does point that it's probably a couple thousand years old, probably 3,000 years old at least. Native Americans were known to do quarrying in that area, and it might have been possible they might have used it as sort of a ceremonial or religious site at that time. Particularly, you remember seeing the sacrificial altar in the middle. That could be possibly for a water ritual. Let
me pull that back up real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Let me see if I can find the sacrificial table, or the sacrificial slab, as I've also heard it called. Let's see if we can find that.
That unfortunately was damaged, I think, last year or the year before by an individual. Unfortunately.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find a picture real quick of that sacrificial slab.
Now, how was it damaged?
He took a electric saw to it, like a chainsaw.
Here we go.
And carved some.
I found it.
Carved
I
something
found it.
in there.
It's loading up. Okay, here we go. This is kind of cool. This is on a website, m.megalithic.co.uk. This is the sacrificial slab right here. That's it.
Hmm.
And as you can see, let me see if I can zoom in here. Just
The grooves around it where the blood would collect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was wanting to point out.
Yeah.
Continue, Greg.
So there was that with the Patney theory is that they figured that Mr. Patney used that area, particularly that stone, to help either make cider or to make lime soap. My personal theory is that I think individuals use that area over time for whatever. Neolithic people built that for, tracking the changing of the seasons and the stars. And I think Native Americans use it as a religious site. And I think later on with Mr. Patney used that area for his own purposes. I know he had a house on that actual foundation. That's just my personal theory. I mean, you can take or leave it. But it was interesting. It was very interesting walk around that area and how interesting humans are able to make use of the land and be able to create these monuments. I think is very fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
But what I would say though is, from what you have told me that it's also sort of like a hot spot for paranormal activity, particularly with extraterrestrials.
That is correct. From my understanding, I think that, isn't there like a mound nearby also as a side? Isn't there like a snake-shaped mound close by to it or something like that?
Gentlemen, 1 second, excuse me.
Go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead, Jake. I remember, because see, here's what I'm getting at. Back the show UFO Hunters with Dr. Burns, Pat Eskert, and several other people. You remember that show? Mm-hmm. One of their episodes that they were showing, they were there on location at Mystery Hill, and they were talking about how that area was a ley line theoretically went over it, and it was synonymous with UFO activity. Have you heard any of that stuff yourself?
Well, I've heard of stuff like that, particularly in the UK, about ley lines that will go through these prehistoric sites like Stonehenge, for example. In my own personal opinion, it would not surprise me if it went through that type of area. There's ley lines that theoretically cut through many parts of the world, and they usually go through locations like that.
Yeah. Jake, you mind if we do a quick Q&A, Greg?
Sure.
Jake?
Yeah, so do we have any, there have been excavations, do we have any sign of a Native American tribe that may have settled in that area? And what may that tribe be and their reasons for settling there?
Well, they did find some Native American artifacts, mostly pottery and tools. The reason for staying there, and I have no idea. That's my best guess. My own personal opinion is that there might have been stone structures there, and they just worked around that. They probably saw that as a sacred place, and probably create a little living space around that area. That's probably where they did those rituals. That's just my own personal opinion.
So, and if I may ask a follow-up question, do you believe the sacrificial slab? Do you believe that was a sacrificial slab originally by the original, let's say, tenant of the stone?
It could have been. I know that one of the theories they said that on this one site, let me pull that up for you. Mystery Hill NH.info. They mentioned a water and crystal ritual.
You can screen share if you want to, Greg, by the way.
I am kind of an old man trying to figure out technology, and I'm also the idiot that's trying to get into IT. Let me see if I'm able to do that. Share screen. There you go. Start now. Are you able to see anything?
I see Project Stargate LI.
How about now?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, perfect. All right, let's head
awesome.
on over.
Thank God for iPhones, Greg and Jake.
I know, right?
Man, they're the best. Whew.
Okay. I do apologize. Please bear with me here.
Hey, take your time, buddy. I'm really enjoying this. This is fascinating. Isn't it great? Isn't it, Jake?
It is. It is. I apologize. My cat has managed to get itself stuck twice in the past however many minutes. So
oh my God!
I'm running interference here.
That's okay, man. It's okay, man. Poor cat.
Yeah, he's something.
But what's his name?
Dallas.
Who?
Dallas.
Dallas.
We adopted him from the Humane Society, so he already kind of knew his name. We kept the name. It's actually my cousin's cat, and she wouldn't let me name it Leonard Skinner, so we went with Dallas.
That would have been cool, man. Heck yeah, man. Or Ronnie. We could name him Ronnie.
Oh, Ronnie.
Heck yeah, bro. Awesome. I love Leonard Skinner, man.
Me too.
Oh man.
So
I like how you can do this screen share on your phone. This is so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So
okay, here we go.
Yeah, the figure, origins of the groove stone. So I was staying on what would be the viewing area at that point, and you can see the sacrificial slab at the bottom.
Yes. Sure.
So that would have been the viewing ramp, so that the shaman would be seen by the people on the viewing ramp while he's performing the ritual, he or she. Let's see here. Bear with me here for a bit.
It does look like, to me, like somebody was offed on that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were.
Whether that was the original purpose or not, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah, there's no telling.
It's just really up to interpretation, really.
Exactly. It is, definitely.
So I'm reading up here.
All right.
I'm sorry. William Goodwin's book, Ruins of Great Ireland in New England, in which he initially labeled photographs and illustrations of these structures as the, quote, Great Groove Sacrificial Stone, unquote, quote, sacrificial table, unquote, and similar terminology. In 1983, archaeologist Gary Vesalius proposed that it was a cider-pressed stone used in the 1800s by Jonathan Patney, who lived at the site between 1825 and 1849. It would be another 23 years before another researcher took on the challenge of interpreting this iconic structure of America's Stonehenge. In 2006, Mary Gage published America's Stonehenge Deciphered, in which he argued the large groove stone was carved by Native Americans for use in an elaborate water and crystal ceremony. Furthermore, she argued that the large groove stone was a scaled-up version of a much smaller and earlier ceremonial grooved drain, which in turn was modeled after a natural feature found at the site.
Wow, this is really interesting. This is fascinating. I wish
I mean-
Vince. I wish Vince could have been with us.
Yeah, I definitely agree. He would have loved this. But yeah, I mean, we weren't around back in those times, so who knows what was going on back then. But it seems like there was definitely some sort of a purpose for that because of the layout of everything.
Yeah.
And
It could go. It could go several ways. Really, it could.
Yeah. And I think when Patney came to that area and built his house, it's like, oh, I can definitely use this for whatever, whether it was making cider or making soap or whatever. But a lot of people that lived in that area used it for some reason. And I know that later on that people started taking the rocks from that area to use in the quarry. So everyone used that specific spot for just about anything.
That makes sense. Jake, did he fully answer your questions?
Yeah, I'm really just curious what Patney's sacrificial cider tasted like, honestly. But, other than that, yes, he did.
Maybe Mike's hard cider.
Mike's hard cider.
That's awesome. Speaking of Mike's hard cider, all right, listen, before I got a question I'm going to get to here in a second, but Jake, I'm just dying to know.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Greg, I'm going to test Jake, okay?
Okay.
All right. Okay, Jake, imagine this.
All right.
You can take your screen share off for the moment if you don't mind.
Oh, sure.
Thank you I'm glad you can do that. That is so cool that you can do that. That's cool. Those people look like they were having a good time.
Yeah. Little Wars TV. Let me see here. All right. There we go.
Okay.
All right.
Hey,
Thank you. It's good to know that we can do that on our phones. I'm so glad you did that, brother. Thank you for that. I just learned something new, guys. Okay, Jake.
yes, sir.
Okay. All right. You're driving down the road.
Yep.
All right. Now just picture this. Use your imagination, Jake. You're driving down the road. There you go. I'm glad you're closing your eyes and imagining this. Okay. All right. And all of a sudden you hear this bump, like a hard bump, like boom, boom, like there you go. There you go, Jake. You got the idea. You got the idea, bro. All right. So you hear you feel this big bump, bump.
Yep.
And you're like, oh my heavens. You pull over immediately. I think I just ran over something. And then you get out, you wait for it to safely exit your vehicle. Okay. Yeah. Instead of going through your passenger seat like you should, like a dummy, you actually got out of your driver's side and walked in front of the car. I mean, that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, just an interesting fact or whatever. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so you're walking, and to your horror, there is an armadillo, tusks up. You hit the armadillo.
Yep.
You ran over it.
Yep.
You walk towards it, and as you're walking towards that armadillo,
Yep.
you notice a peculiar smell.
Okay.
It smells like pizza. Would you eat it?
Right, eat it. No, man, those things.
Oh.
What is that they carry? They carry some disease.
Dude, I am so disappointed.
Yeah, they carry leprosy.
Greg, I thought he was gonna. I thought he was an eater.
No.
I thought he was an eater. I had him pegged for an eater. Greg, your face is right up in the camera.
It looks fine to me, but I'm holding my phone up in a weird angle.
I can see you better now. That's better. But anyway, man, gosh, Jake, I'm sorry. I had to test you on that one. That's like my secret test to see what kind of person I'm like, dealing with,
I
something like
mean,
that.
if I didn't know it had leprosy,
Dude, they don't have leprosy. Have you not ever had boiled armadillo tusks? You live in the South and you've never had.
nope,
You best sound off that you've had boiled armadillo husks.
I have not.
Get off my program.
All right, later.
All right, that's enough. Enough nonsense. Okay,
Enough
so
nonsense. I think we got way off track.
Yeah, we got way off track. That's my fault, ladies and gentlemen. That is my fault. I own up to that. All right. BS aside. So, my question is this: the Nords, the Vikings.
Mhm.
As we've had many conversations over the last many years, Greg, about the Nordics. Did the Vikings? I think it's pretty much etched in stone practically that they did go to North America. I think that's pretty much, there's no question about that. The question to me is, how far south did the Vikings get? And did they could they have possibly put Mystery Hill? What are your thoughts on that? I'd like to hear both of your thoughts on that, but I want to start with you, Greg.
Well, they had a short settlement in Newfoundland, Canada. There's been debates on whether they went further south into the American, now modern day U.S. But there's very little to go on. When it comes to Mystery Hill, I wouldn't believe so, because I believe that structure is much older than the Vikings. Viking settlements, Viking homes were much different, and they it's not like old ruins. It was like long halls. It was not like what we're looking at right now. So I don't really think so.
Well, I like, we ought to talk about the Vikings one day. I'm just so, in Nordic mythology and stuff. As a matter of fact, my friend Kalen, this guy I work with, he is actually quite the expert on historical mythology. I'm looking forward to having him on sometime.
Yeah, definitely.
Jake.
Yeah, I grew up. My family came from Sweden and Norway, so I grew up actually hearing and knowing a lot about that stuff. So I'd be definitely down to talk about that. As for them in the Americas and consider the modern day United States, there are some carvings, I believe, up in Minnesota, maybe even Michigan, that are of, they look like longboats. They're these old rock carvings that look like longboats.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's very possible they're here. As for the structure that we're looking at with Greg, Mystery Hill, I don't believe that would have a Nordic connection, just based on the sacrificial altar or the altar of some type. As far as I know, the Nords did not use altars of that type. That could be completely wrong, of course. I'm no expert, as well as the astrology points. So I believe it would be some type of pre-Columbian, possible European settlers, or maybe even some, and this is way out there, some interest South American communities venturing their way up, exploring.
Dude, you don't want to know what I thought you just said. You just don't want to know, man. I thought you said you were humping European settlers. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, man.
No, that was it.
I hope you didn't hump any European settlers, bro.
Pre-Columbian.
Oh,
Pre-Columbian.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh, man. I'm sorry.
Or, possibly very adventurous, South American Aztec or Mayan, just based on what the structures look like and the correlation with the astrology as well.
Yeah, man, I'm fascinated with
Astronomy, excuse me.
Yeah, I'm fascinated with the Mayan civilization. I want to learn more about it, and also I want to dig in. You know what? Another thing I want to dig into one day is Peru, the civilization that created the Nazca, supposedly created the Nazca lines. You know, what were they for, and what the heck happened to that civilization? It's like they just poof vanished.
Right.
It's almost like they had some type of spacecraft to get off the planet.
You know what? I mean, it's possible. You know?
Absolutely. Anything's
it's
possible.
It's very possible.
Well, we're talking about settlers. At some point, probably in another episode, we should talk about the Moon-Eyed people as well.
Can you just give us a little snippet on what that is?
So certainly. So actually, I can share this. Actually.
Okay, please do. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm so glad we have that ability now. I just need to get mine
me
fixed.
Me too, bro. Me too, man. Dude, iPhones are so cool. I love iPhones.
Hey.
So this is a legend from North Carolina of the Moon-Eyed people.
Heard of this?
They were pale-skinned, large-eyed individuals that lived in the Appalachian Mountains in North Carolina.
Is it near Brown Mountain?
I believe so. Before they were expelled by the Cherokee Indians. Is the legend of the Moon-Eyed people proof that Welsh explorers landed in America more than 300 years before Columbus?
Wow.
And for those who want to read that article, it's hold on one second. It's allthat'sinteresting.com.
Allthat'sinteresting.com.
The Moon-Eyed people. So
wow.
Let me go back. By Chrissy Howard. But I have heard of this story, and an individual that I know of actually wrote a novel that's based on a Welsh prince who gathered up his retinue and went to the Americas based on stories told by the Norsemen, obviously the ones that went and settled in Greenland. So that's always a possibility. I find that stuff very interesting, but we can talk about this in another episode.
Yeah, I'm cool with that. What do you think, Jake?
Absolutely. This is a legend I've heard of. I'd definitely like to dive deeper into it.
I'll read a little snippet. As legend has it, the Moon-Eyed people were an entire race of physically small inhabitants of a wood area near what is now Murphy, North Carolina. With pale white skin and bearded faces, their large blue eyes were said to be so sensitive to the sun that they were only able to operate by the light of the moon, hence the name Moon-Eyed.
Wow. Yeah, I'm intrigued. That's cool. Wow. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Not a problem.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. But at any rate, I definitely like to hear more about this, Greg. Why don't you keep me in the loop and keep us in the loop in our group chat, private chat, and let us keep us in the loop in what you're finding out about. This is fascinating.
Definitely.
Yeah. Man alive. I tell you what, man, it's been a great conversation today. I've really enjoyed being with you guys.
It's always fun.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Like I said, man, I think that in the future, I think that we ought to, we had an idea where each segment, I kick off the podcast in the first segment, and then I hand it off to one of you in the next segment, and then we just kind of we have Q&A for one another. I think that's a fun way to do this.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But at any rate, man, we're gonna move forward, and as we come up with more details regarding our first expeditions, we're going to release some information very soon. Our goal right now, like I said, was to I want to try to get us out there by by 3 weeks out. So if you'll start working on that and keep me in the loop when you find out anything, I'd be very grateful.
Absolutely, you got it.
And also reach out to any co-investigators you think might be interested in joining us. At least maybe one.
Absolutely,
I think one, because I think my wife was going to try to come. And like I said, she's empathic and she's clairvoyant. And I've tested her. She definitely has a degree of clairvoyant abilities. I think she might be very insightful.
I think it's definitely going to be an interesting trip for sure.
Absolutely. Fellas, thank you so much for your time and being with us today on the program. And I've enjoyed the research and the fellowship. And let's do it again next week.
Definitely.
Let's do it.
All right. Then listeners and viewers out there, please hit the like and subscribe button. Please be a big help. We have much more content coming out. If you would hit that like and subscribe, and you can also hit the notifications button. That way when we publish any content we publish, you'll be immediately notified. Share it, and feel free to post this on social media if you enjoyed it, or if you really, really enjoyed it. But at any rate, you are listening to Project Stargate Friends Research. I'm your host, Mark Brenner, and we have Greg Shipp and Jake Malcolm. Thank you guys for being with me, and I've enjoyed our conversation.
Thanks for having us.
All right. And thank you guys for listening, and until next time, stay spooky.